Yes, I know this is pretentious. I've been on a good streak of monthly videos and I want to keep it up, so let's do a commentary on the original Interstellar collection. What happened to G54? They don't like me. 3585, there's news you're falling, and they don't like anyone. What happened to G54? This video is no longer canon.
My name is Rugai.
This spaceship is traced off the Dolphin spaceship from Elite Dangerous, but after this video I avoided tracing wherever possible.
I'm a Gruvad from the Keter Empire.
The Keter Empire is the post-IJF land of the Gruvad species. They were formerly the Keter Confederacy, but after being acquired by the IJF, they became the Keter Empire. They have a president, but he's also an asteroid miner and doesn't have many duties. The idea behind the Keter Confederacy is, what if bureaucracy, but 1,000%? Asteroid miners so committed, it's all they do. Systems run by AI. People don't even have a purpose for all these asteroids. They're not even capitalist because they've just gone so far beyond market. Pointless work, pointless pay, but there's literally no alternative.
I like to mine asteroids.
Here I gave him red eyes. I don't like this. Other characters have red eyes on purpose, I'll explain later, let's put a pin in that, but this is pointless. I think it just looked cool, but with other Gruvad characters, like everyone in the Nox Empire, they don't have red eyes. So if I could go back and change this video, that'd be something I'd fix.
Asteroids are everywhere in the galaxy.
I don't know why I used an image here instead of drawing it, or why I picked such a blurry image. I think later on, once I drop the overuse of line art and the static colors, I do a good job at characterizing space. It's both an active and reactive place, with more than just stars, but I guess when I made this I wasn't so confident, so I just googled galaxy.
But I like to go to System G54. It has big planets with rings of asteroids.
I hate how Saturn is drawn. The bottom doesn't even stick out, it's annoying. It feels like Saturn is too short, even though it's not. If I redid it, I'd definitely change the perspective. Obviously G54 is our solar system, the Earth-like planet is G54-3, the third planet. The ringed planet is Saturn, and so on. If we look to the map, Earth is here, and the Keter Empire is here, so it makes sense a Gruvad would inevitably find Earth. But Rugai is certainly not the first to stumble upon Earth's carcass, and the relationship between these two is actually quite important later on in the series.
And when I go there, I can look at the beautiful planets. While my warp drive is warming up, I like to read.
This is ass. The colors peek over the edge, the legs are weird and ugly, and there's no controls. There would surely be a bed on his ship, so I should have drawn him in his bed or something.
The book I'm reading is made in another language. I don't understand it.
He's reading, but he doesn't understand it. Alright. I mean, this is canonical. English is not actually the language that everybody speaks. A common tongue was developed by the Nitro-Romi Empire, the Segrast, the Syrixians, and the Haruni about 1,000 years ago over radio communication, and that was called Interstellar General, which is what everybody speaks. And obviously, you hear it as English, because you're the English audience.
I found it in System G54 on what I think was their main planet. I like the pictures. I think it's about how the people in G54 died.
Note that he says the people in G54 died. And this comes back later, let's put a pin in it.
They lived on a planet called G54-3. My warp drive is warmed up, so it's time to fly to a planet with asteroids.
I like drawing solar systems, I've done it plenty of times, but I hate this. They're way too clumped together, the sun is big and wiggly, the stars are bigger than the planets.
It's blue, and it has a ring around it. As my laser breaks chunks off the asteroid and I fly them into my cargo ship, I listen to their music. They left it lying on their main planet G54-3.
This is fine. I could do better now, but it's fine. It's probably the best animation in this whole video, and that's worthy of a prize.
It sounds nice. I like the sound of G54 music.
I love the idea of a shattered, broken open Earth, but it doesn't make much sense. It's kind of wild and out there. It's more fi than sci, but I like it. It's a very striking visual image. But I've changed my mind on what part of Earth is broken. So, as we find out in Pink Ringleader, the three people that escape after the world goes to shit from climate change and nuclear war is USAC and the European Union. and Russia is abducted by the Nox. What caused the end of the world is left ambiguous because I don't want to make genuine assertions in my goofy alien sci-fi, but the general idea is a nuclear war and taking too many materials from the third world, leading to the collapse of the African tectonic plate, which isn't realistic because obviously that isn't how tectonic plates work, but it's such a striking visual. Anyways, it should look different with Africa being destroyed and not, I don't know, South Asia here. Britain's looking good though.
It's very calming.
This line art is too thick. These skyscrapers are ass.
The G54 people aren't here. Sometimes I wonder where they went. Their planet is abandoned and empty. There's no life, no grass, no water. I wonder if it was always like that. I've been here for 30 minutes in the cold of space. I've mind enough to fill the quota.
30 minutes is too small a timescale. It's a difficulty balancing a timescale in a world like this. One cannot just pop over to the other side of the galaxy for lunch, but visiting a friend's house on another planet, it should be as easy as it is to take a train in the real world. I've decided the compromise I'll take is that civilian transport is measured in hours, but cargo transport is measured in days. Either way, Rogai should not be mining asteroids and filling his quota in 30 minutes. Even a small amount of asteroid mining should take a few hours.
I'm gonna visit G54-3 for fun. Maybe I'll find out what happened here. Their cities were made of weak material. Their power came from unsustainable means. Their safety came from the corrupt.
Since this was a one-off project at the time, a lot of my world building came after this. Things like world building about the factions on Earth and what exactly led to its destruction and so on, even the IJF. I hadn't done that at the time, so a lot of the world building here is kind of generic, because it was unnecessary for the story. But that means it's not canon. It's too much focus on energy crisis and where does our water come from and oh no, corrupt politicians, and not enough on overproduction and the innate dystopia of capitalism.
There are craters everywhere. My radiation detector is higher than ever. The people that lived here may have been immune to radiation. Otherwise, they would have died here.
Here, Rogai doesn't understand that the people here died. They must have been immune, or else they would have died. Oh, woe is me, and it's an alright beat. I think it could work.
The G54 people aren't here. Sometimes I wonder where they went.
But it doesn't. It doesn't work because, look at the pin, Rogai knows they're dead. He said so before.
I think it's about how the people in G54 died.
It's a bad case of the whole... I wrote the whole script in 10 minutes while I was bored in class.
There's no signs of a spaceport anywhere, so I don't know where they left from.
This is also a retcon. There were a few spaceports. A few spaceports in USAC, United States of America and Canada. One spaceport took out the top 5%, and a few others with generation ships took out a dozen colonies worth of workers off-world. The European Union had several spaceports, including ones for refugees, and they had the most diverse off-world group, and a much lower left-behind rate than USAC. That gives us a good 15 spaceports in total, and the cost is accurate. Building a spaceport is easy, but the ships to use it, and to take a whole population, that should be multiple planets worth of capital, and 300 trillion reflects this. That's a little under 4 times bigger than the world's GDP. Though the math on how much money there is actually in the whole world is something close to 5 quadrillion. But most of that is speculative, investments and stuff, property, you know. You can't sell your house when the world is ending, you know?
I'll keep looking for any signs of their end destination. If they didn't leave the planet, the only other option is...
The nuclear bomb ending is a bit silly, but at the time I thought it was so cool. Like the catharsis it gives, that was something I chased for a while. There were super dramatic endings in all of these, even when it felt a bit forced, to the point where it does get a little bit silly, and I'll go into that in the other commentaries. They don't like me.
They don't like me.
This introduces us to the Interstellar Justification Force. The IJF is a military faction comprised of 2 tiers, the High Council and the Low Council. The Nitro-Romi Empire, Segran Empire, and Russian Empire form the High Council, and the Low Council is anybody that joins them. The basic premise is they approach a small nation, ask them to join the IJF, and if they say no, every IJF nation invades. So of course they say yes, and now there's 4 people. So they ask somebody else, and now there's 5, and then another, growing and getting stronger. Some countries have said no to joining, one of which being the Vesnusians, and this war is the result of doing that.
I was the last of the Vesnusians.
This is the old IJF flag. Blue for Russia, yellow for Nitroromi, and red for Siguran. I hate this design. Here's the new flag, much cleaner, a lot more fascisty. I might make this an in-joke, though, like some characters uncover an old IJF poster from its early days, or Mikhail has the first IJF design document on his wall and it's got this old flag. Maybe it's canonical, but let's not jump the shark. For now, this flag is not canonical. I've just retconned it. It's gone. I hate this flag. It's stupid. It's ugly.
When I was a child, my planet was destroyed by the Interstellar Justification Force.
This is the first of 3 planets blowing up that we get to see, and it's definitely the worst animated. Very silly, no depth.
And I was taken to their homeworld to stay.
This is Segrad. It has a huge amount of history I can't put into a small note, but here's the story on screen if you're interested. In short, this was the site of a great tragedy, and it now acts as an official IJF zone belonging to no individual nations.
And gain a new life.
This was before I fully realized how to animate in After Effects. I wasn't very good at the time, and as you can see with this weird wobbly door, I hadn't figured out how to pivot it properly, and now obviously I can do that very easily, but it leaves this weird relic of this one strange wobbling door.
When I was a child, I attended the Justification Forces school. The teachers didn't like me. The students didn't like me.
Bird people! Bird people are fun. There's no bird nation in the Interstellar canon, but this works. It's another one of these small alien species that the IGF have gone to war with and displaced. This guy is in the same boat as the Vesnusian child. It's obviously not explicit, but I think it's a fun piece of world building.
The peacekeepers didn't like me. I was a relic of a war long forgotten. The Interstellar Justification Force would suppress my existence. The Vesnusian War never happened, they would say. It's a myth, they would say. The last Vesnusian doesn't exist, they would say.
This is Mikhail's first appearance. How far we've come.
I didn't exist. I was the last of a species that was gone.
This is very edgy 2010 YouTube core. The voice distortion, but actually, believe it or not, that was a genuine error. It worked, so I left it in, but this was an actual exporting problem and not part of the editing intentionally. I think I wouldn't have known how to do this on my own at the time. These early ones I made in iMovie and it just had this as an exporting error.
And when there's nothing else in your category, when you're the only one in a population, does the population exist? Did the Vesnusians even exist? Do they still exist just because I'm alive? Or are they extinct because it's impossible for more to exist? Do I exist?
I don't like this faux philosophical stuff anymore. It's a bit silly. I'm trying too hard to be deep. Since this has happened, I faced a lot of thoughts about my own identity. And being tricked into forgetting your race exists is not what it feels like to be dehumanized and degraded and traumatized. It's a lot more complicated than that.
They don't like me. They pretend I'm not real.
Windows 7, browser is a scribble, image is the same as in this hologram. Vesnus? It's Vesnusia. IJF record war? I have no explanation for this one frame. It's terrible, and I purposely try to avoid making any kind of screen now, which has generally worked in my favor, because analog technology looks much cooler.
I was older, they took me out of school to hide me. I was never allowed to leave. I was never allowed to see other people. They were never allowed to see me. It was the day that I was taken away that I realized. They don't like me.
This is the second of our super dramatic endings. It's a bit silly, but yeah, it is what it is. 3585.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Thomas Mayle on behalf of the Segran Empire.
If this name is familiar with you, Thomas Mayle is the son of Coleridge Mayle III. Sagran princes have to fight in the military until reaching the rank below sergeant, after which they can become heir to the throne and live a life of luxury as most do, or become a sergeant and stay in the military, as Thomas has chosen to do. And the long line of the Mayle family before him. Basically, this is a propaganda ad narrated by one of the most jingoistic soldiers possible. Unfortunately, he's voiced by a 12-year-old with a blocked nose, so it diminishes it slightly. If I could remake it, I would probably make all the dialogue Sagran filtered, like this.
Russian Empire, Yelizavich III, the IJF High Council.
And I'd like to talk to you about the Interstellar Justification Force. We're like a well-oiled factory. On one side goes the material, out the other side comes a part of the machine. On one side goes...
This sheep is so funny. I don't know why I chose this. Like, what a strange, obtuse choice for representing the idea of a material.
The material, out the other side comes the machine. On one side goes the material. On one side goes the material.
The original idea was lots of different characters doing each of the different, acts of terrorism. I show a pink guy, I show a blue guy, but then I thought that'd be boring. We just go through the colors of lots of types of guy. We had blue guys, we had green guys, and now we've got pink guys, and I felt a bit weird about that. Everybody is just the same humanoid shape, but with a different color. So going forward, I said, okay, all aliens will be a little bit more special when I design new ones. And I also decided to just stick with the pink guy going forward. So for the rest of the video, we follow 3585 as he's turned into a brainwashed soldier. And this blue guy is just here now, and he doesn't come back. I have a character important to the larger plot named Iran, and if I could make a change, I would switch 3585 out for him and establish him earlier on. His home planet was on the Commonwealth of Man, the European Union's descendants, which the IJF destroyed, and we see that banner in Noah's office next to the Vesnusian flag. Establishing a more important character would have been nice, but I had already made this before I thought of or realized the importance of Iran. This gun is a Glidorian-made gun, the Aspid Red, and at this point of the timeline they have just joined the IJF, so these guns were likely gift delegations from the Glidorians.
Out the other side comes the machine. The other side.
Several Easter eggs in here. He's 420, this guy's a goldfish, that's my birthday. It's nothing high quality.
Comes the machine.
This Aspid Red is seen being shot by 3585 later, but this is not an Aspid Red. This is the NB Red, as the muzzle flash is orange, it is a ballistics gun, while the Aspid Red is a laser weapon. This shadow creeps up for way too long. It's way too boring. We get it. It should cut when the music has its little beat. I like this gnome house. It's dumb. It's kind of fun. Blue bomb blows up a planet. The planet killer, the LCGB, is later retconned to be kept in a pink capsule. But it's actually not a huge retcon, because it's just a shell. The real bomb is yet to be shown. Spooky. I dislike this planet exploding, but at least it's not, this. This doesn't show it very well, but this is supposed to be dissidents being chased into the sea. His uniform keeps getting shinier. I think this was intentional. 3585 is definitely my least favorite, but I like how it shows a variety of places and people, and having his uniform get better each time shows his, progress through the ranks. But as we later see, I forget about it, and he just becomes naked later. Once again, this is the Aspid Red, but the muzzle, it's the wrong color. It should be shooting lasers. It shouldn't be yellow. In future, I think I'd rather make plasma purple. But this blue explosion is very sleek. I do not like this. Gas chambers, not a great look. There's genuine commentary on fascism, and then there's just mindlessly drawing Zyklon B dispenser. This size gap is weird. Also, the uniform that's been growing is gone. Remember I said it undermines it? Here we go, there's the payoff.
On one side goes the material, out the other side comes the machine. Join the Interstellar Justification Force and keep the galaxy safe from galactic threat. IJF. Peace through unity.
Here's the ultimate of the cool ending erectile disorder. It's terrible. Peace through unity, it's supposed to be like a shock or a twist, but it's not really, and the music is far too excited for this mundane slogan. This could have worked. There were ways to make a slogan reveal be cool. The slogan for the Terran Empire's Progressive Party is great. Oh, I can't wait to show you the Terrans. They're great. You're gonna love them. I'm so excited to show you guys. Vesnusia Falling. Originally, the title was We Don't Like You, as a reference to the original They Don't Like Me, but it's from the IGF's perspective. The they is now a we. But I decided the finale of this arc should be They Don't Like Anybody, and it got weird and repetitive with the names. They don't like me, we don't like you, they don't like anybody. It was not. It was hard to communicate, and when I talked to it with people, they wouldn't always remember which was which. So I renamed it to Vesnusia Falling, which I still don't particularly like. It sounds way too much like London Falling, that silly movie. Wait, is that what it's called? Hold on. London Has Fallen. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of White House Down. Sorry. But either way, generic action movie. I don't like the name Vesnusia Falling, but it is what it is. I don't want to spend too long perfecting the title of all things. You can actually still see the old title in the thumbnail, and on my laptop. You can tell I just learned how to get lots of cool free sounds from freesound.org, which I think has become a staple of the style. It's a lot of depth to have sound effects, especially for things happening off screen. It implies depth and permanence. It really makes the world pop, in my opinion. I had tried to manually animate these borders, and it looked really bad, so I switched it out for this wipe transition. In retrospect, I know how I would do it, but the past is the past, and this wipe transition is permanently part of history and permanently not very pleasing. Old flag, again. I loved this color palette on the LCGB so much that I reused it for the Lazashnikov gun. I don't like that these flames don't move. These open really slowly. I don't like having to use these for exposition, but this was my first short without a narrator, and I was clearly still in a narration mode of thinking. Mikhail looks a lot more alien than he turns out to be, and Noah is bald for some reason. This has started an inside joke with some friends that I don't know how to draw hair. Here I drew two explosions, and two gradients of the explosions, but I ended up playing the same explosion twice, but the gradient's different, so it looks a little bit odd. I don't like the big green IJF warship tag. I think it would have been better to show it, show the scale of it, show that it's important instead of just telling you. I haven't had many chances to show warships, but they're massive, huge by Interstellar standards. Giant ships that house other ships with giant crews. Here's one opening its maw to let other ships fly out, and I never show it opening. Never show ships flying out. So it just looks like it's got a weird blue hole in it. It's a missed opportunity for sure to show some dynamic spaceships and the power ceiling of Interstellar. Warships and LCGBs are basically the two most powerful weapons. The warship that gets blown up in Interstellar Chapter 1 is huge, and it's actually an older model than Oxarium, so it's pretty small comparatively. Interstellar has a vibe to its music inspired by this piece of music. And when we approach Segran, that music is overpowered by this Fallout-inspired piece. The aesthetics behind the music here were heavily inspired by the main theme of the hub from Fallout 1, called Trader's Life. What I settled on is a nice and similar track that isn't too Orientalist. Whoa, it's Codridge Mail! He's arrived!
Russian Empire.
This guy has red skin. I prefer the ash-colored skin the other Segrons have. I think giving him red skin was a mistake.
Galactic 3, the IJF High Council. Go.
Yes, it's a helicopter that works in space. I'm gonna actually defend this. I like it as an aesthetic choice. The aesthetics of Interstellar are low-tech. They don't pull up statues with laser beams and gravity clogs. They use a rope. Spaceships that are helicopters, that's metal as fuck. I like the idea that a lot of Segron technology barely works, but they force it to, like the plants in Good Omens.
Oh, this is gonna hurt you so much more than it will hurt me. You guys, grow better!
I meant to remove this chair so you could see Mail better, but I never did. I like the bridge extending. It's poorly animated, but I'm glad 2019 me went to the effort of doing it. I think it adds a lot. We need more of these blue switches. It would have been cool if some had been turned off, though. I love how Mail's eyes glow on and off as he speaks. It's a good detail that adds a lot. It really makes him feel cool. Mikhail and Noah, they're both nerds, but Mail is genuinely cool. He's the most traditional villain out of all of them. He's the Darth Vader of the group, and the lights on the eyes and the cool armor, they show it completely. He's cool. One thing that is weird about this is that after establishing how cool Mail is, they immediately start stripping. The armor is cool! He should have kept the armor on! What happened was I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and I loved how Arthur Morgan had those onesies as underwear, and I wanted to show that under Mail's armor he had the same thing. And you can kind of tell what I was going for with the huge belt. Mostly I think I was just tired and making bad choices. No idea why I chose to make him immediately strip. The level of detail was cool. He was the most threatening council member. It would be useful if they were like super buddy-buddy, but this is supposed to be a turbulent time. Everyone is under attack, the IJF might have set the mark on this war, and all three of them are blaming each other. This is not time to show Mail stripping as a show of trust.
Impatience. This triumvirate is supposed to keep all three empires equal in galactic control. I so far know nothing of the Vesnusians, the war, even what the IGF is doing right now.
The Vesnusians didn't want to join the Interstellar Justification Force, so we declared war on them. But since my territory is right next door, we've been locked in a war for the past 5 damn months, you Sagron Clank.
Noah Miller's voice actor wasn't great. He's a fun dude, I like him, but he wasn't great for this role. It took him way too long to get me the lines, and when he did, he said Vesnusia as...
The Venissons didn't want to join the Interstellar Justification Force. The Vesnusians didn't want to join the Interstellar Justification Force. The Vesnusonsan didn't want to join the Interstellar Justification... Yeah, that's good enough. I destroyed the last 11 Vesnusonse. Vesnusonse. But a rogue bomber destroyed the last Vesnusonse. There's a last Vesnusonse?
So, anyways, I replaced him with my British friend Jonathan in the next one, and he's so much better. Jonathan is a dream to work with. I love to gush about my great voice actors, but the voice actors I get to work with is probably one of the most fun things. I work with so many fun people as part of this, and Jonathan especially is an absolute dream to work with.
But since my territory is right next door, we've been locked in a war for the past 5 damn months, you Sagron Clank.
Of the mispronounced Vesnusia lines, I chose this one, so it sounds like Noah is calling them the Vesnuisance, you know? Play it off like it's in purpose, like he's saying some kind of stereotype or slur about them. It works for what it is. Nobody's pointed it out at least, so hopefully that means it works. Noah Miller's bandage over his left eye is followed up in the next few animations with the reveal that now he's been given a robot eye. So sometime before this one, he got a wound in his eye that caused him to keep it bandaged while hiding in Mikhail's war room.
You Sagron Clank.
Clank is an in-universe insult, not really a slur, but an insult, for a lower class of trader and mechanic. In a world with sci-fi technology engineers like the mercenaries at Contract Burn that are super strong, being an engineer who just fixes cars and stuff is seen as lesser. A job only for the poorer and less intelligent people, when obviously that isn't the case. Somebody isn't an idiot because they don't build super guns. The word clank is also used as the segras, but they're seen as primitive. Mikhail's eyes are different sizes, and that really bugs me.
You were the one who wanted them as our subsidiary. Your greed to control the Vesnusian empires is what got us here, Miller.
Mikhail Globo, do you copy?
That's General Mikhail to you. We copy.
Apologies, General Mikhail. This is Thomas Leary on behalf of the Natural Romy Empire. We're almost in position with the LCGB and are going to bomb the Vesnuian capital on your command. Do you copy?
Some of the background details here are interesting. I just got lazy and drew a giant space gun as a giant shotgun stuck in the space station, which is pretty funny. If I was redoing this, I would make the ships in the background move in little circles so it looked like bombing runs or dogfights, add explosions and gun trails and more flying ships, both closer and further.
We're almost in position with the LCGB and are going to bomb the Vesnuian capital on your command. Do you copy?
We copy.
We are in position, sir. Should we drop the bomb?
The idea here is a cliffhanger, but not one of the patented super scary endings. We see the orange blast and the green Vesnusians and also the Romi caught in the crossfire. Out of all the scary endings, I think this one works the best, though I think Mikhail should be characterized more as a man who doesn't think about casualties, beyond just a number. Perhaps the option to kill and the moral repercussions should have gone to Noah. This would have fleshed him out as the least evil of the evil villains, though still evil, and his later destructions of the prisoner ship is because of this trauma, and the deaths of the Romi would be more important to Noah than it would be to Mikhail. They don't like anyone. This explosion cuts off. This is probably the strongest opening of these so far. It's very narratively cinematic. It's slow and it's interesting. In the later ones I use brushes to make texture often, but here it was mostly flat color, so this one random blood splatter here always surprises me. Like, it actually looks kinda good, so its inclusion in this terrible shot of all places always surprises me. Don't like this. Flowers aren't shiny. The gradient on the sky should go away. The sun is moving so fast the planet should fucking explode. Whose boot is this? I don't know what I was doing here. It's not Joseph Green's boot. It's just some guy. Maybe once I had a plan, but I got confused and switched scenes I was working on, and this boot guy just got lost in it. I didn't plan these early ones out methodically. I just look at the script and decide what needs making. And there weren't notes, just dialogue. I draw, animate, and then edit it together clip by clip. But now I draw a whole scene, animate a whole scene, and then only edit together when I have every scene. Which is better for planning, but we don't get random tangents that might be fun. Like some guy's boot. I do not like the wires that look like veins. Not a good look.
War is ending. Evacuate now.
What am I saying?
Joseph Green, do you copy?
General Mikhail, good to hear from you.
This gun is a Lazashnikov, developed by Mikhail Arms. Generals organized their military and designated a set percentage of ballistic rifles and laser rifles. The ballistics are Mikhail's IJF service rifle, and the laser weapons are the Lazashnikov. Note here that the number on his forehead says 1764. Let's pin that. Red eyes! Here we go. I can take this pin now. One of the alien species is the Awakers, from the Esches territories. Powerful Awakers, called the Elite Brood, can use their unique racial skill set so effectively they can go beyond what is possible for the rest of their species, and use their power of mutation to leech onto people's nervous systems, like a parasite by mutating into a gas, infecting them and controlling them from within. It's near impossible to survive this, but Joseph Green has. I can't wait to show you guys the Elite Brood. Red tint to the eyes is a sign of Elite Brood possession, and Joseph Green has survived it, which has left his eyes permanently dyed red. That's why it's weird that Rogai had red eyes. He shouldn't. It's a weird choice that I made when I was still working out what pieces fit where and hadn't decided on the Awakers yet. Rogai obviously did not survive an Awaker possession. Rogai could not kill a bug, let alone the second strongest alien race in Interstellar canon. I can't wait to show you the strongest.
Captain Green, get to the Senate quickly. Take one of the IGF ships and board the Senators as prisoners, as many as you can.
Roger that, Commander.
The design of these guns that go over the hand are a reference to the old comic Rogue Trooper, where the titular character's gun goes over his hand a little. This over-the-top view is fun. He does a little spin like this because he literally wouldn't fit between these two buildings, so I had to rotate him sideways. And then I had him spin so he could, do a cute little show-offy kind of thing. Sagran with Spike in head. I chose this because I felt I showed too many victims and not enough aggressors. More dead IGF soldiers, please! In an attempt to be unique, like with the red eyes, I gave him green blood. Again, I'm retconning this. Nobody has green blood. Segrans bleed red. This shed has parallax. The backing on this ship isn't done properly, and you can see the background through it. The choice to have 3585 to come back was done while I was animating, but by doing that, I had tied all the animations so far into each other, in a way that solidified this as the first phase of Interstellar, the shorts. In case it isn't clear, this message comes from Noah Miller. It's this blue plasma grenade again. Whippy! The last Vesnusian's eyes slowly begin to open. He survived the blast. Somehow his brother got his head blown off. No idea why I made that choice. Let's pin this. His forehead says 1764. 1764. Pin this.
Damn it. Kid,
1764.
killed here.
My papa is...
The last Vesnusian child is actually played by me, shockingly enough.
Alright. Get on the shuttle, kid. Fast. Look.
These shuttles are literally just vans. I enjoy the vibe of the mundanity of space travel, the low-tech stuff, as I've mentioned before.
They're going to a prison, but you're not like them. We're taking you on a different ship over to the Russian Empire. You've heard of them, kid?
It's not the best, but of the three, this is so far the best planet exploding animation we've gotten. And unlike a traditional explosion like the Death Star, I think it sells the idea of total eradication. When the LCGB goes off, there's nothing left. Anything touching it is destroyed. Anything touching that is also destroyed, etc. If you're touching an air molecule connected to the planet, you're screwed. Don't want to be blown up? Well, get to the safety of space vacuum.
Them over there, they're like you. The last 12 of the Vesnusian...
Miller has a blow-up red button, an odd choice. He had sent an email to 3585 before. If I had my way now, I would have used that to destroy them. Have 3585 do a suicide bomb or something. That would also get him out of the story for future.
What have you done?
And here we go. We get Jonathan, or Fandango, as Noah Miller, a much better fit. We also see his eye wound more closely. This wound is intentional and has lore, but shh. Spoilers.
The last 11 Vesnusians. They were a threat.
They had surrendered. They were captured.
Incapacitated.
Mikhail looks way too Dilfy here. He's supposed to be the ugliest possible Russian I can draw. Of all the Russians I draw, I make sure to make them, all different, and Mikhail's thing is that he's ugly and with terrible hygiene, and he's a little bit overweight. He's just some lazy beer dad.
I know it looks bad, but a rogue bomber destroyed the last Vesnusian.
This is Captain. We have a situation. I repeat, we have a situation. The ship has been destroyed. I'm currently with the last Vesnusian child, and we are going to retreat Nitro Romy Empire.
There's a last Vesnusian.
There is no last Vesnusian.
Mikhail having the final word is very good. His word is law. I don't particularly like this credit scene, though. 3 dudes in the street, 1 terrible sign, this guy's unmoving, an Arial font cafe. It's bland and barren and really detracts from the energy set up by, whoops, we killed a whole race. We see some scenes of Noah getting the bandage off and getting his eye replaced, and of a Romy soldier going home. He's got the green jacket that Joseph also had, and Mikhail was wearing a variant of. That's an IJF infantry uniform. And the Romy are mostly blonde, but choosing to make this guy blonde the same as Noah, in between 2 Noah scenes, just confuses things. Here's a blonde not facing the camera, here's a blonde not facing the camera, here's a blonde not facing the camera. Kuleshov effect. This idea about the destruction of Nitro 6 and how the war was a cover-up was silly. It was tacked on at the last moment because of the whole scare-we ending vibe. It's stupid. While I won't say it's not canon, I'm not going to bring it up or play with the idea again, so narratively, it's just dead. Here's the rope thing I mentioned. So this isn't a universe where sci-fi technology automates jobs. It's a world where sci-fi technology kills 1 million Vesnusians, and now some Segarans are forced to move a heavy statue with just a rope. Cause and effect of 2 groups that should never interact. Some emperor you'll never meet killed people who never harmed you for resources you'll never benefit from. Now, put your back into it. This is a Glidorian. They're so cool. They're one of the smartest aliens, and they're the least humanoid. They're more bug-like than bipedal, but this drawing gives the impression it's humanoid. I like the idea of a super intelligent Glidorian hanging out at a sports bar watching telly. Okay, I've got all these pins of Joseph Green's number on his head, and the last shot we see of Joseph Green before his death, 1759. When I first made this was a genuine accident. Like, I forgot his number. It's bad, and I would criticize it here, but, I mean, think about it. I've been playing around with ideas in my head, and I think Joseph Green deserves character status. A past where he fought an Awaker, and a future where he escapes death off the records? I hope you're excited to see what he does, where he goes. I am too. The best part about things like this is you don't have to explain things we've explained. We can go nuts with established material. I plan to go nuts. I'm planning the specifics, but what I do with Joseph Green is gonna be great. The reveal that there are multiple statues, that this is something that happens cyclically, is to me one of the strongest images. I wish I'd put more effort into drawing these statues, or revealing them, or made this the final shot that we go out on. Instead, we go through some dumb champagne clinking, which isn't animated, a medal ceremony, which isn't animated, and these dead bodies, which are unanimated. The frozen corpses of the last 11 Vesnusians is a good visual. I wish they floated, or moved, or just had clothes. There's a comment on this one saying, "The kid will hunt them down," and no, I'm sorry. He's the kid from this other animation. He's not hunting anybody. He's just worm food now. Sorry. So that's the Interstellar collection. It's better to release something bad than never release anything at all. I'm glad I have such a strong base to continue to build the Interstellar universe off of. It genuinely means the world to me that anybody at all watches these. If I wanted to get this scene, I'd write it and sell it, but I want it to be made by me. I don't want to cut corners or make compromises. I want to do it my way, and the fact people watch this makes me really happy, so thank you. If you want more work by me, I'm leaving a link to my 2 poetry books in the description. Statistically, if you make it this far, you enjoy my work enough to check it out, so thank you. Oh? What's this? There's still 7 more videos in the Interstellar playlist. Perhaps I should do a director's commentary on the other videos. I know that I have a lot to say about Pink Ringleader, so...